Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Justin, and to be honest, this is take like number 45. I don't know why I'm struggling so much today, but we're going to give it another world heal. Hopefully, this is the final take. But I am back answering a frequently asked question from coaching clients. This is where I do my best to answer a question from a coaching client in under 5 minutes. So far, I've been failing at that, but I'm going to do my best to accomplish it today. We'll see. Something to keep in mind before we get started. When I do get these questions, it's important to keep in mind that context matters, and the advice, the tips, and stuff that I give when I answer these questions is going to vary from person to person, depending on their goals, personal challenges, struggles. So something to keep in mind. What I'm saying here in this video can probably help a large population and the majority of people, but it might not be the right fit for you, and that is okay. So I just want to make sure we don't treat it as gospel, and it's something that we can actually, it's just another tool that we can use or maybe not use in our health and fitness journey. So today's question is all about how to stop snacking or reduce snacking in the evening. I think it's a great question. I think it can help a lot of people. So let's jump right in. And I think the first thing to recognize here is that snacking at night or snacking in the evening, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. It doesn't, just because you eat in the evening doesn't mean that it's setting you back, it's ruining your goals, it's leading to weight gain for the most part. For some people, snacking at night can be just what they need to, if maybe their goals are weight gain and building muscle, those extra calories, that extra protein can be the perfect fit. For others, maybe if weight loss is their goal, and you feel like the extra calories that are coming in from your snacking in the evening is contributing to a calorie surplus that is keeping you from losing weight, then that could be a low-hanging fruit and an area to address. And that's how we're going to be approaching it today. So just, again, keep in mind, nothing inherently wrong with snacking in the evening. It's not necessarily ruining any progress. So, and we'll touch more on that in a little bit. But first thing to address here is if you're physically hungry at night, there's really no tools, tricks, or tips that are gonna fix feeling physically hungry at night. You probably actually do need to eat something, and that is okay. But something to look into is what might be leading to that extra hunger in the evening, or leaving you really starving in the evening, where you're just overeating or crazily consuming food. It could be you're not eating enough throughout the day, so you're looking for calories in the evening, and that's where you would typically get it from, later in the evening, snacking and stuff like that. Or maybe you're not taking in enough protein throughout the day, not feeling satiated by the end of the day, and you're left feeling pretty hungry or starving at the end of the day. Or maybe the day was mostly like processed foods, not a lot of whole nutrient dense foods coming in, and your body's just left looking for some of those things at the end of the evening, leaving you really not very satiated and very hungry. So that's the first thing to look into, is if you're physically hungry in the evening, maybe you're not eating enough throughout the day, getting enough protein or getting enough nutrients, and that could be a simple solution to make sure that you're getting those things earlier in the day. So also, the second thing to look into is if you're having your last meal at 6 or 7 p.m. and you're not going to bed until midnight, 1 a.m., there's like 5 or 6 hours for you to actually physically get hungry. That's a long time. So it makes sense during that time for you to get physically hungry and to look for snacks, look at food. So the simple solution is to just go to bed or start going to bed a little bit earlier. Maybe you can't all of a sudden go from midnight to 10 p.m. That's a big change, but you can start working slowly, 10-minute intervals or something like that, until eventually you get to bed a little bit closer to your dinner time, maybe about 2 hours or so you don't have as big of a window to actually get physically hungry. So I know that almost seems too simple, but the simple stuff usually works. So the third thing here is if it's not related to physical hunger, and maybe it's just boredom and stress like that, I think there's a couple things you can do here. One, you can actually just plan to have a snack later in the day. Like I mentioned earlier, nothing inherently wrong with snacking in the evening. So maybe you get an enjoyment of having some chocolate at the end of the day. It's a nice treat for you. It helps you cope with some stress. Hey man, have a couple squares of chocolate. Just plan that in as part of your day, as a part of your normal routine and diet. If you're tracking calories and macros, you can just factor that in and plan the rest of your day around it. If you're not, that's okay too. You can just plan that in as well too. You can use your hand portions throughout the day and include that in later in your day. So that's actually one really, really simple and easy fix, is to actually just plan a snack later in the day for yourself. So the next thing would be to just try to make some simple swaps, or just to do a little bit better. Like if you're snacking on, a big bowl of ice cream, maybe just slowly reduce that. Maybe you measure it out. Maybe you throw it on a food scale and measure out, a serving of ice cream, or you do a fourth or a half a cup, and you just aim for a little bit better. Or maybe if you normally snack on 2 slices of cold pizza at the end of the day, maybe you just go for 1. So look for those opportunities just to be a little bit better during that time. The other thing here would be too, if you're noticing if it's a little bit more of like boredom and stress, how do you want to spend that time? What are some things that you've been putting off? Some things that you've always said you wanted to do or try that you could use to fill that time, that time that you're typically feeling a little bit bored. Maybe there's some other opportunities that you can dive into. To connect with your significant other or partner, work on a puzzle that you've always wanted to do, start painting miniatures. I don't know, I'm just tossing out ideas of what might be something that you would want to do, but how would you like to spend that time and start pursuing that hobby, learning a different language or something along those lines? I think there's plenty of ways to entertain yourself. And if it is more of a less stress related thing, I think it's cool. I think sometimes eating can be the perfect fit for coping with stress, but it's only an issue when it's the only thing that we do to cope with stress. So my suggestion is always to build out a nice nourishment menu for yourself. Choose 2 or 3 things that you want to experiment with, you want to try, that help you slow down, calm down, and relax before you go to snacks and food. And the idea is not to solve a problem here. You're not trying to stop eating or to stop snacking. The idea is just to try to get yourself to slow down. So maybe you go for a quick walk. Maybe you hit the heavy bag for a little bit. Maybe you pursue like that puzzle, or maybe you just do some deep breathing for a little bit, just to get you to slow down a little bit, and for you to choose how you want to respond to that stress versus always choosing food. So again, this went about 7 minutes. I'm going to get better, I promise, but I hope this was helpful, and we'll talk to you guys soon.